Most Canadians think their TFSA is just a fancy savings account, somewhere to park cash, maybe buy one index fund and call it a day. So they're using maybe 10% of what this thing can actually do. But here's the thing, the list of stuff the government actually lets you hold in here is way weirder and way bigger than your bank ever told you. We're talking gold, real estate, Bitcoin. And by the end of this, I'll show you one that's basically a tax-free real estate empire you can start with $100. Plus one nobody talks about where you literally become the bank. But fair warning, this same list has landmines. Hold the wrong version of these and the CRA hands you a penalty of 50%, half of what you bought, gone. So stick around for Chapter 8, where I break down the exact traps that trigger that penalty. Because honestly, one of them catches people who think they're being smart. If you've got a TFSA and you've only ever bought one boring fund in it, this video might be worth a few $1,000s to you. Let's get into it.
Quick intro if you're new. I'm Jay, and on this channel, we figure out how regular Canadians keep more of their own money instead of handing it to the taxman. No jargon, no suits. Here's exactly what you're getting today. 1. Gold and silver you actually own. 2. Real estate, without tenants calling you at midnight. 3. Bitcoin, the legal way. 4. Stocks from all over the world. 5. The ones nobody talks about, including your own mortgage. And 6. The exact mistakes that get people penalized. Stay till the end for that one. Real quick, the boring but important part. I'm not your financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Always do your own research before you move real money. Cool? Cool. Now, the mindset shift that makes all of this click. Your TFSA is not an account. It's a wrapper, a tax-free bubble you put other investments inside of. Whatever grows inside that bubble, the taxman can't touch. Not the gains, not the dividends. So the real question becomes, what's the best stuff to put in the bubble? Let's start with the shiny one. Gold. When the dollar feels shaky and grocery prices keep climbing, people run to gold. And yes, you can hold real physical gold inside your TFSA, completely tax-free. But, and this matters, not any gold. The CRA has rules. Coins from the Royal Canadian Mint need to be at least 99.5% pure gold, or 99.9% for silver. Bars work too, as long as they're stamped by a refiner the London gold market actually recognizes. Think Royal Canadian Mint, or names like PAMP and Valcampi. Random gold from a pawn shop? That does not count. And here's the catch most people miss. Collectible coins don't qualify. The second the coin is worth more for being rare than for its actual gold, the CRA says no. So those fancy commemorative coins? Out. Now, holding the actual metal is a bit of a hassle. You need a special self-directed account and somebody to store it. You can't keep a TFSA gold bar in your sock drawer, sadly. So most people take the shortcut, a gold ETF. It's a fund that holds the gold for you, trades like a stock, and drops straight into your TFSA with no storage drama at all. In Canada, you've got options like the iShares Gold Fund, or one straight from the Royal Canadian Mint itself. Same gold exposure, none of the headache. Quick heads up though, funds charge a small yearly fee. Why bother putting gold in a TFSA at all? Because if gold doubles, you keep every dollar of that gain. Outside the TFSA, the CRA takes a cut. Inside, zero. That's the whole game. So that's the shiny one handled. But what if I told you that you could basically own a slice of apartment buildings across Canada, collect the rent, and never once unclog a tenant's toilet? Real estate. The Canadian dream, right? Except buying a place now needs a small fortune and a time machine back to 2012. But you can get real estate inside your TFSA, just not the way you'd think. Here's the rule. You cannot buy an actual house or a piece of land and stuff it in your TFSA. The CRA flat out bans physical property, so no, you can't TFSA your way into a rental condo directly. But there's a back door and it's totally legal. It's called the REIT, a real estate investment trust. Basically a giant company that owns apartments, malls, and warehouses, and you buy a piece of it like a stock. And these REITs pay you rent. Well, your share of it. They collect rent from thousands of tenants and pass most of it on to investors as regular payments. You become a landlord with zero phone calls. Now, here's why the TFSA part is so good. Those rent payments are normally taxed like regular income, the worst kind. But inside your TFSA, they land in your account completely tax free. In Canada, you've got REIT funds that bundle the big players together. Names like the iShares Capped REIT Fund hold landlords like CapRate and RioCan. One purchase and you own a slice of buildings all over the country. Is it the same as owning a triplex outright? No, you don't get the mortgage leverage. But you also don't need a down payment, a lawyer, or a tenant who stops paying. For most people, that trade is more than fair. Okay, gold? Check. Real estate? Check. Now for the one that gets people fired up in the comments every single time. The one half of you have been waiting for Bitcoin. Bitcoin in a TFSA. This is where people get tripped up the most and where that 50% penalty I mentioned loves to strike. So let's get it exactly right. Rule number one, you cannot hold actual Bitcoin in your TFSA. Not the coins in a wallet, not crypto sitting on an exchange. The CRA doesn't see crypto as money or as a stock, so straight up, it's banned in there. Do it anyway, and the penalty's brutal. 50% of what you put in, charged the moment you buy it. Picture putting in 10 grand and immediately owing the CRA 5,000. That's the trap. But good news, because Canada actually figured this out before almost everyone. There's a legal way in, and it's clean. A Bitcoin ETF that trades right on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Fun fact, Canada was the first country in the world to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF back in 2021. So while Americans waited years, Canadians could already hold Bitcoin in their TFSA through a fund. Rare win for us. These ETFs hold the actual Bitcoin for you behind the scenes. You get the price moves, up and down, without ever touching a wallet or a password you'll definitely lose. Names include the Purpose and Fidelity Bitcoin funds. And if Ethereum is more your thing, there are ETFs for that too, like the Purpose Ether Fund. Same idea, the volatile asset wrapped in a tax-free bubble where any gains are yours to keep. One honest warning, crypto swings hard. And here's the part that stings. If your Bitcoin tanks inside your TFSA, that lost contribution room doesn't come back. So size your bets carefully. Don't bet the cottage. Let's talk stocks, but bigger than you might think. Inside your TFSA, you're not stuck with just Canadian companies. You can own the whole world. America, Europe, Japan, all of it. Want a piece of the big American tech names or just the whole S&P 500 in one shot? You can hold a fund like VFV right inside your TFSA, and every gain comes out tax-free. But here's a hidden cost almost nobody warns you about. When you own US stocks that pay dividends, the US government quietly skims 15% off those dividends before they even reach you. And in your TFSA, you can't get that 15% back. Here's the kicker. In an RRSP, a special Canada-US tax treaty makes that withholding disappear. But that treaty does not cover the TFSA. Wild but true. So does that mean keep US dividend stocks out of your TFSA? Not necessarily. For most growth stocks, the gains dwarf the dividend, so the tax-free growth still wins. Just know the trade-off exists. Oh, and one trap to flag now. The stock has to trade on a real, recognized exchange. We'll come back to that in the mistakes section, because this is exactly where people accidentally trigger the penalty. Alright, we've done gold, real estate, Bitcoin, and global stocks. Now we get to my favorite part, the stuff almost no one knows you can hold. This is where it gets a little wild. Number one on the secret list, your own mortgage. Yeah, you can actually hold the mortgage on your own house inside your registered account and pay the interest to yourself instead of a bank. Think about it. Right now, your mortgage interest goes to a giant bank tower downtown. With this, that interest flows back into your own account, every payment, building your tax-free pile instead of theirs. Now, real talk, this one is not simple. The mortgage has to be insured and set up through an approved lender, and the fees can be hefty.
It only makes sense for bigger accounts, but it is completely legal and almost nobody uses it. Secret number 2, you can invest in a private company. Your buddy's startup, a local business raising money, a company that isn't even on the stock market. Those shares can sit in your TFSA. Imagine getting in early on the next great Canadian company, and if it takes off, every dollar of that gain is tax-free. That's a serious wealth building move most people never even hear about. But pump the brakes, because this one has a sharp edge. You have to own less than 10% of that company, and you can't be running it yourself. Cross that line, and hello again, 50% penalty. Secret number 3, become the bank. There are things called mortgage investment corporations, where your money gets pooled to lend out as mortgages, and you collect the interest. You can hold those in your TFSA too, and a quick lightning round of others. Listed options, so you can sell covered calls for extra income. Bonds and GICs, foreign cash, even annuities. The menu is huge once you know to look. So the menu is way bigger than a savings account, but knowing what you can hold is only half of it, because the CRA has a few traps, and stepping on one is genuinely expensive. Let's defuse them. Mistake number 1, and it's the most common: buying actual cryptocurrency thinking it counts. The Bitcoin in your wallet is not the same as a Bitcoin ETF. One is fine, the other gets you penalized. Mistake number 2, penny stocks and over-the-counter stocks. If a stock only trades on those shady back alley markets and not a real exchange, it does not qualify, and people buy these all the time chasing a moonshot. Here's the sneaky version. You buy a stock that's totally fine, then the company gets delisted and falls to those back alley markets. Suddenly, your good investment turns into a penalty waiting to happen, and you might not even notice. Mistake number 3, trying to hold physical real estate or raw land. We covered this, but people still try it through loopholes that don't exist. Land in a TFSA? The CRA says absolutely not. Mistake number 4, owning too much of one private company or your own business. The moment you control it or cross that 10% line, those shares flip from a smart move to a penalized one. And mistake number 5, the one that surprises pros: day trading like a maniac inside your TFSA. If the CRA decides you're running a business in there, they can tax all of it. The tax-free shield just vanishes. So what actually happens if you mess up? That 50% penalty hits the value of the bad investment, charged the year you bought it. You can sometimes apply to get it refunded, but honestly, you do not want that fight. The good news? Every single one of these is avoidable. Stick to investments that trade on a real exchange. Use ETFs for the exotic stuff. Stay under 10% of any private company, and don't day trade like it's a casino. Follow those 4, and that scary penalty basically never touches you. Knowing the line is what lets you use all the cool stuff safely. Most people never learn it. You just did. Okay, so how do you actually unlock all of this? The catch is, a basic TFSA at your bank usually only lets you buy their own funds and GICs. To get the good stuff, you need one specific thing: a self-directed TFSA. It's still a TFSA, same tax-free magic, but it lets you buy stocks, ETFs, gold funds, REITs, all of it. Platforms like Wealthsimple or Questrade open one for free in a few minutes. Here's the strategic move smart investors make. Since the TFSA shields gains completely, you put your highest growth investments in here, the stuff you expect to really take off. Let the boring, safe stuff live elsewhere. Because every dollar your TFSA earns is a dollar the CRA never sees. Over a few decades, that difference isn't small. It can be the gap between retiring at 65 and retiring way earlier, maybe at the cottage. Quick favor: if you learned even one thing you didn't know your TFSA could do, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel reach more Canadians who are getting shortchanged by their bank. And here's my question for you. Drop your province in the comments and tell me which one of these surprised you most. Was it the gold, the Bitcoin, or holding your own mortgage? I read every single comment. If this opened your eyes, you'll want the video on the screen next, where I break down how to actually build real wealth as a regular Canadian. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.